Must have latched onto you now. Goes after the hurt, the vulnerable. Follows you wherever you go. Until you're all gone. That's what happened to your kids. They called it the Boogeyman.
You're listening to Scotty and Andrew, and this is Fun with Horror.
Hello, I'm Scotty.
And I'm Andrew.
And welcome to episode number 101 of Fun with Horror, the movie review podcast in which two long-distance best friends stay in touch by taking turns giving each other horror movies to watch and discuss.
Now, I got the last pick, so I chose a new movie, 2023's The Boogeyman.
Mm-hmm.
It was directed by Rob Savage and stars Sophie Thatcher, Chris Messina, and Vivien, Lyra, Blair. And of course, stay tuned until the end of this episode, where we're going to hear what Scotty picks for our next movie. But without further ado, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. Guess what?
Yeah. What?
It's spooky season.
It is spooky season. I know. It feels like spooky season.
Is it cold there?
It's getting cold. Finally, it's getting cold.
It's actually kind of chilly here in Los Angeles.
Yay! I know. I'm still waiting though. I mean, it's getting cold, but I've not seen many dead leaves, and that's when like all of fall hits me, is when the leaves start dying. So
that's so pretty.
I'm waiting. It is pretty. It's my favorite
so
season.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. I got a little bit sad today because I was looking at the 10-day forecast, and it looks like in 2 Sundays the temperature is going to jump back up to 89. I hope that's not going to stick. You know, sometimes the 10-day forecast does change.
That's true.
I can't wait for it to get cool. And of course, it's going to get cool for you before it does me.
That's true. Yes.
It usually gets nice and cold for you in October, which I'm jealous of.
Sorry, buddy.
Have you been watching any spooky movies besides our movie?
Besides ours? No, not as much as I would like. I know I've been talking to my wife, Cindy, recently, and I'm like, we need to start, like, it's fall. Like, this is our time to start putting movies on. So soon, I think this weekend, we're going to start watching maybe a possible marathon. We'll see.
Nice.
Yeah, buddy.
What? A what marathon?
A spooky marathon. Just all the fun Halloween movies.
I thought you said an impossible marathon.
Maybe I did. Maybe it feels impossible with kids.
That's true. Although one of them likes spooky movies, so
that's true. That is true.
I watched a few.
Yeah, what have you watched?
And I had a revelation, kind of. Well, Saw X is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went ahead and I went back and I watched Saw 1 and 2. And I was obviously going to try and watch as many as I could.
Right.
But something weird happened, buddy.
What?
Those scenes bother me more now than they used to.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's just because I'm older, but man, like at the beginning of Saw 3, even just the trap at the beginning of the movie.
Uh-huh.
I was just sitting there going like, oh, God.
That's fair, man. Some of those ones, it's been a long time since I've watched the Saw movies. But I even now thinking, there's a couple that come to mind where I'm like, I don't know how I do.
Well, definitely the hypodermic needle scene in Saw 2 really got to me this time.
Oh, that's a hard scene to watch.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so difficult. But then I watched another movie that you're going to love that I watched.
What'd you watch?
I rewatched Fright Night, buddy.
Ah, for real?
For real. That's a nice reference. Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy. And how was it? How was it?
You're always my Chris Sarandon.
Thanks, man.
It has retained its status as my number one absolute favorite horror movie of the 80s.
That's so good, dude. Friday Night's great. It just is a great movie.
Never get tired of it.
No.
But then I got to tell you something.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Did you watch something?
No. I was going to say, I watched that for my first time ever with you, buddy.
The original?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And the remake. Both with you.
Yes. I remember the remake, watching it with you. And funny enough, I just looked for it online and it's like not easy to find.
Really?
I can't buy it on iTunes. I think I can buy it on Amazon.
That's weird.
And then Fright Night 2, the old Fright Night 2 is not available anywhere. So that's going to be a fun one to find.
Interesting. I didn't even know there was a sequel, to be honest.
There was a sequel to the original, yes. And there's a sequel to the remake.
What?
Yeah, I've heard it's bad.
Oh, okay. Was it like straight to
Yeah, I don't know.
Like TV?
I just heard it's bad.
Okay.
maybe I'll pick it. Ooh.
Yeah.
But then I'll tell you something funny.
Yes, please.
I was watching movies the other night or something. Yes, I was watching TV.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't even a horror movie. It was like a TV show. And I had the lights out, no lights on. And as I showed you, I put my Chucky doll in the corner,
yes.
kind of behind the TV to the left of it. I had done it that day. And so I was watching this show. It was dark and my eyes just happened to glance over to the left. And in my mind, I had just kind of forgotten I had put Chucky there. And I just saw this figure in the corner. And for the briefest moment, it freaked me out. I freaked myself out.
Awesome. I love that.
Me too. Anytime Chucky can scare me, you know?
Right. Well, and you have such a good imagination. I mean, we've talked about that. Your imagination is very good, and so I could see how that could hinder or make it worse.
And we're going to talk about that more in a second because it's time to talk about the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman?
My next 2 kids died within a year of the first, one right after the other. From natural causes to nothing natural about it. Sucked the life right out of them.
All right, everybody listening. We are about to spoil the Boogeyman. We're going to discuss it, and that means we're going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen the Boogeyman, the new Boogeyman, not the old 80s movie, The Boogeyman, but the new Boogeyman, this is your warning. You have every right to pause the podcast until after you have seen it. So, without further ado, Andrew.
Yeah, buddy.
It's time for you to give a 3-minute recap of this movie.
All right.
I'm not going to tell you if there's anybody outside your door or not to kill you if you don't make it in under 3 minutes. I'm going to let you use your imagination.
That's me shaking.
And that was, everybody could see that.
I know.
Meaning nobody could see it.
Exactly.
All right. Are you ready?
Well, yeah, we'll see.
All right. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and start.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
All right, the movie starts with a little baby in a crib. The closet door opens, and we just see that the baby, we see blood splatter the wall. We cut to Sadie, our main character, who lives with her dad, Will, who's a therapist, and her little sister, Sawyer. Their mother has just died, and they're going through a grieving process. During this time, Will, who is the therapist, is at his house, and a person by the name of Lester shows up to talk about some things that are happening to him, a creature that's following him, and it turns out that he's actually from the family at the beginning where the little baby died. He eventually goes upstairs in the house of the therapist and eventually is found hanging. He had hung himself. Then we cut to that we see some stuff happening in this house, in these closets. It turns out it is the quote-unquote Boogeyman. There's a lot of chases that happen in this, or some chases, I should say. Eventually, Sadie makes her way to Lester's wife's named Rita, goes to that house. She's now kind of this, I don't even know what you'd call her, hermit that lives in her house that's waiting to try and kill this Boogeyman creature. Eventually, they kind of team up to get rid of the Boogeyman, and I say team up, but Rita uses Sadie as bait. But they fight the Boogeyman, they lose, Sadie runs, and Rita is killed. Eventually, Sadie makes her way back home, where the Boogeyman has taken her dad hostage, and Sawyer is hiding in the closet. They go downstairs to get their dad free of the Boogeyman. A fight ensues. Eventually, they find a way to destroy the Boogeyman with fire. It does not like light. They kill it. Eventually, we have somewhat of a happy ending where they all have been able to grieve together of the mom's passing. They've, of course, beat the Boogeyman. And, of course, Sadie sees a closet open, leading to, is he still alive or dead? We will never know until the sequel. Who knows if there's going to be one. There you go, man. That was a quick one.
I'm still not going to tell you if there's anything outside your door. You'll just never know.
You fool. Now I'm scared.
It might still be out there. Dude, that was great. You came in like just barely over 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, that was I was curious how that one was going to
So
go.
we got a lot to talk about. But first of all, what did you think of the Boogeyman, man? What did you think of the Boogeyman, man?
Well, man, I would say that I thought it was okay. I'm going to say okay.
Interesting.
The reason, well, we'll get into the reasons. Well, I'll just say okay for now, and then I'll explain myself. But I would like to know before we do that, what did you think?
I thought it was the best horror movie of the year so far.
Whoa! Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Huh. Okay.
I'm trying to think of the other horror movies, but yeah, I don't think anything has. I really enjoyed it. That's all I'm saying.
That's great, man. I'm happy. I love that. I'm so glad you liked it that much.
What was the atmosphere you watched it in, buddy?
Dark room with my wife. Yeah, it was at night. We watched one sitting. Yeah.
What did she think of it?
She thought it was okay as well. I will explain. I promise. I will explain.
What did you think of the very beginning? I was worried about that.
I didn't like it. I mean, it was
of course
creepy, scary, but like I didn't. Yeah, especially now since I have a baby in a crib. I didn't like that. The movie didn't make me mad. Like the creature pissed me off right then. I was like, well, they need to kill this thing because now I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Like I'm already mad, but now you hurt a baby and not going to work for me. So yeah, I mean, it was effective, but I didn't like it. I don't want to see a baby get hurt. I'm glad they did it, obviously, the way they did, where you don't see it, but yeah.
I was just making sure that it didn't bother you so much that it ruined the rest of the movie for you.
No, I mean, we've talked about the movies are movies. Like I think I can disassociate reality from movies. So
you did watch Inside right before your wife gave birth, so
exactly. Yeah, there you go.
So real quick before we continue, I also want to say, I should have said this during the spoiler warning. We're probably going to spoil Stephen King's short story.
Oh yeah.
Because I love to tell you the differences between the movie and the book. So if you haven't read the short story, that's another thing we'll probably talk about a little bit. So
nice.
Just a warning. Well, buddy, I watched it in the dark too.
Yeah.
I watched it by myself.
Nice.
I had my headphones on.
Oh, that's nice. That's good.
And let me tell you, I haven't, I'm spoiling one of our 3 questions at the end, but
it's fine.
The movie seriously scared me.
Wow. Right on.
And I kind of had a realization.
Okay.
That I think more than just my imagination, like that's just being a little bit broad when I say that my imagination is what scares me.
Right.
Things that go bump in the night. I kind of realize I'm kind of afraid of the dark.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think that's what I'm scared of.
Okay.
Because Yeah, in something like Paranormal Activity, and this
Mhm.
isn't a spoiler, but in Paranormal Activity 1, it's not so much like the things happening in their bedroom that you see
Right.
on camera. It's the fact that when they take the camera and they're pointing it out their bedroom door, downstairs in their living room area is completely dark.
Totally. Yep.
And I think ever since I was a little kid, I've probably been a little bit scared of the dark.
Okay.
So the first 3/4 of this movie
Mhm.
were pretty terrifying to me.
Absolutely. That is
There were
very
parts
fair.
where I was sitting on the couch and I was like, and I had like, I've caught myself putting my hand to I'm doing it right now, so I shouldn't do that with the microphone, but covering my mouth with my hand, like, oh my God, that kind of a thing.
I love
It
that.
freaked me out, buddy.
That's awesome though. That's so effective. I love that it did that for you. That's
It
amazing.
is. The parts in the dark where all you saw were its glowing eyes.
Oh yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
man.
Yep. That was, believe me, there's good in this movie I will talk about. Absolutely. And that's definitely one of them. Some of those shots were very freaky. Especially some movies have done that and it's not
Mhm.
effective. Like where you see the eyes in the light, or excuse me, in the dark. And you're like, all right. This one was effective. This one definitely had more of an effect. And I don't know, I'm not sure why. Because I know I've seen it before and been like, okay, all right. But this one definitely looked, it was just more effective. I liked it.
Do you know who directed this?
So, okay. So there's a scene. There's a scene where we see a medium or a medium on YouTube, right? Someone's watching on YouTube. And I go,
Okay.
that's the same actress playing the same type of character from Host. And I'm like, wait, is this the director of Host? So right away I paused it and I Google, and of course it's the same director of Host, and that's the same actress playing the same type of character, which I was like,
Correct.
that's awesome.
Correct.
So yeah, I totally, because I was like, is this a sequel or something?
But you know what else he directed, right?
Remind me. Help me out.
Because I love when something happens and people have worked or done stuff with other movies that we covered on the podcast.
Right.
He also directed Dashcam.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the
Wow.
interesting thing is if you watch the end credits, the part where in every end credits where it kind of gives credit to different other movies and stuff that were featured in the movie,
right.
like they talk about the video game that Sawyer is playing in the bedroom or in the living room.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, they mentioned Dashcam, and I did not see Dashcam at all.
That's
So
weird. I wonder. I'm trying to think where it even could have been placed.
Yeah,
Maybe
I couldn't.
They must have been watching something.
I kind of even forgot to look for it the second time I watched the movie. So
yeah, I don't know. Weird. Oh, that's funny though. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And one thing I did like about Dashcam was the tension of the movie. And yeah, I felt like he did a great job with this movie too, and we'll talk about that. But
yeah.
I'm super curious as to what you didn't care for. So let's get into that a little bit.
So really, I guess my biggest thing was that it's very, this movie to me is following a pattern that we've seen in a few movies recently. And so I'm sitting here kind of going, well, I'm sure at some point she's going to meet someone that's met this beast before. She does. I'm sure there's going to be a fight, probably in a dark room towards the end. There was. You know what I mean? It just felt like I was like, I've seen this kind of format a number of times recently. And I was hoping, I guess, for something different. But then it followed that same formula. And I just kind of went, okay. I knew this was coming. I knew kind of how this was going to go. And it did. And I really, that's my biggest complaint, was that I just kind of went, okay, I've seen this many times, this formula, and I guess I was expecting maybe something different, and it wasn't. It was the same thing. And so for that was why. Because I'm sitting there going, something's got to be different here. There's a lot of hype about this. Something's going to change. Something's going to be weird or throw me for a loop. And then it was like, I had all the beats ready in my head, and it followed every one of them. And I was like, shoot. So
Well,
that's
there's-
it. I mean, there you go.
There's the dangers of doing a podcast in which we've watched almost 100 movies.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
You know what? Funny enough, though, buddy,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to validate you.
Okay. Thanks.
So your parking is good for the next 2 hours,
Yes.
and you're a good human.
Well, thanks.
No, what I was going to say is I actually have somewhat the same note.
Oh, okay.
I wrote a note that said the last, 30 to 20 to 30 minutes
Mhm.
was very predictable.
Right.
Within my note, though, because I was thinking how else could they really end it? And I couldn't, in my imagination, think of another way.
Right.
So in my note, I did say that I enjoyed the other, 2/3 of the movie so much. And I thought that there was still some good tension and action and stuff that happened in the last 20 to 30 minutes that
Right.
it didn't really bother me that much.
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
if the rest of the movie hadn't been so terrifying to me,
That's fair.
then it might have bothered me more. But it didn't
Okay.
bother me as much.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm glad we had the same note at least. I think that's
Yeah.
nice. That's good.
Yeah. There's another nitpick I have.
Okay. Lay it on me. Because that's my one.
That's your one?
It's kind of, yeah, I really don't have much, but like I said, that was kind of what it's a big nitpick for me though. So anyway, lay it on me. What's yours, man?
Okay, so the thing I did not like,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you're not supposed to like her, but the little blonde girl, Natalie, who was kind of, I guess, the quote unquote bully of this movie,
Right.
she's just a little bit too mean.
I agree.
There was how she acted in the beginning, which
Mhm.
obviously I hated, and I hated everything she did. But at a certain point, I wanted her to let up a little bit, I wanted
yeah.
her, if you have a character in a movie that is just too mean and is otherwise not the villain of the movie,
Right.
you need to write the character in a way that you also understand and it feels realistic and a little bit sympathetic. But I mean, Sadie's mom had just died
Right. Yeah.
and she's dealing with that. And it was just so hard for me to fathom that any person would just be that just uncaring and mean to somebody else after that. And I know there are people in the world like that, but it really I didn't like it.
I agree. And I actually had this conversation about, I don't remember. No, I do. It was a show, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But someone does something similar to someone where I'm just like, do people really do that? I mean, like, it just seemed so really, like, I don't know. And I had that, I totally get that with this character. Where it was like, really, this girl just lost someone extremely close to her mother. Like,
Yeah.
you're really gonna do that? I don't know.
Yeah,
Even
and-
like, I feel like a jerk would just not do that.
And continue to do it.
Right, exactly.
Like she invited you over to her house and the girl still didn't let up.
Right, exactly.
So obviously I was really happy when Sadie slapped the crap out of her.
I like that too.
That was very good.
Therapeutic.
Was that it for you? Well, like, was that what bothered you the most?
Yeah, really, that was the biggest thing, was that it just followed the formula, which I went, all right. The rest, like I said, I have nice things to say. I really do. But that one is a nitpick for me. That's a big one because,
Yeah. I mean, the reason I started thinking of it was because the movie was such a big metaphor. They turned the short story by Stephen King into this incredible metaphor. And I'm sure there's metaphors in Stephen King's story, but I don't think they were as overt as they were in this movie.
Oh, okay.
But this movie was about people dealing with grief.
Right.
And the boogeyman, the creature, was a personification of how grief just drags you down.
Right. Totally. I get that. Yep.
And in the entire metaphor, even in this movie, the way that the family comes together to defeat the boogeyman is also a very obvious metaphor for the only way, or the best way, not the only way, but the best way to get through grief is to have strength in
support system.
Yeah, support system. Thank you.
Yeah.
Strength with others, a
Mhm.
support system. But then I felt like the last scene of the movie was not just leading into a possible sequel. I mean, it had that reasoning as well, but
Right.
it was also just the idea that even though you can defeat the worst part of grief,
Right.
grief is always going to be there for you. It's
True.
always going to come back.
That's good,
But
buddy. Yeah.
Sadie closing that door just showed that she now has the tools to deal with grief.
Nice, dude.
It's still going to come back, but she knows she can deal with it, you know?
Yeah, that's great, man.
I don't know. I mean, that's what the movie was. They were dealing
Right.
with the grief of the loss of the mother. Lester and Rita were dealing with the grief of their first child dying in a crib.
Yeah.
Crib death, whatever.
Yep.
But man, that movie was scary. Well, let me tell you what happens in the short story compared to the movie.
Yeah, I know last episode we kind of talked a little bit, maybe it was at the end or after the episode, but mentioned that like only part of it was in the movie maybe. So I'm very curious because even while I was watching it, I even was thinking that like what part was the actual short? So I'm curious, man. I'm excited to hear about this.
Okay, I kind of wish, I don't know if you would have had time, but I kind of wish you would have read the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have helped you appreciate the movie a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't know. But here I go. I'm going to spoil the short story, basically.
Okay.
The short story that Stephen King wrote back in the 70s.
Oh, really?
In a short story book called Night Shift. And it's one of my favorite stories by him.
Nice.
I always remembered how much it creeped me out when I read it as a young kid.
Awesome.
But anyway, in that story, it is Lester Billings in the office with Dr. Harper.
Oh.
And Lester is basically telling this doctor what's happening to him. And in the story, it's more or less, it's not that the first kid dies to crib death and then the boogeyman comes. It's more like all three of his children are eventually killed by the boogeyman.
Wow. Okay.
And it's disturbing. I mean, that's the thing. And I didn't know how they were going to adapt that because yes, the death of infants is horrifying.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the story, I think the doctor or Lester leaves the office for a second to get a glass of water or something, but he comes back into the office and the closet is open. And basically Dr. Harper comes out of the closet saying that maybe Dr. Harper was the boogeyman the entire story. That the boogeyman was impersonating this doctor to terrify Lester.
Interesting.
So yeah, a little bit different with the movie, but I love the fact that they put Lester Billings in the movie.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I just love that whole scene. David Dastmalchian.
He's the best, dude.
So freaking good.
Yeah. He's always good, man.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
And he was so good as Lester.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dr. Harper is not the boogeyman, but I like the idea that Lester, by dying in their closet, kind of transfers the boogeyman to them.
I did too. I thought that was an interesting way to do that. I liked it.
And the fact that the boogeyman, this creature, just was able to kill babies.
Yeah, dude.
That scared me for the family themselves.
Right.
I was terrified. I started this movie thinking, how the heck is this family going to deal with this creature?
Right. No, for sure. Yep.
If the creature has no qualms in killing a baby,
right,
it's not going to care about killing a little girl or a teenage girl. So that's one thing that terrified me.
Fair.
The other thing that terrified me is that Rob Savage in the behind the scenes, did you by any chance watch it?
I didn't. No.
In the behind the scenes, he said that obviously he loves horror movies.
Right.
And he loves knowing what is going to draw an audience's attention in a movie and trying to subvert those expectations. And one of the best examples of that was the moon under the bed. So
Yeah.
Sawyer has the little moonlight, and that part scared the hell out of me the first time. And it even startled me the second time. And the second time I realized why. It's because it's such a well done, tense moment in the movie where the boogeyman comes out of her closet, the creature like scuttles under her bed, and you just barely catch a glimpse of something. Perfectly filmed.
Yeah, I agree.
And then she hangs upside down off of her bed, and she's looking under her dark bed, which is terrifying already.
Yeah.
And she uses this light up moon to roll under the bed. And here's the thing, your eyes are watching the moon and where the moon is going.
Right.
Don't expect you're not sure if you expect to see anything, but you definitely don't expect it to see the creature appear on the right side of the moon.
Right. Yeah.
Like where the moon's rolling.
Yep.
Man, brilliant.
Yep. I agree. No, and I really did. I had that same thought too, watching that scene. Was like, it's going to be a rope-a-dope, like it's going to go under and we're not going to see anything, or it's going to be the other thing where we don't see anything. She sits up and it's sitting there. You know what I mean? Like on the bed or something like that. So that was a nice little, ooh, there we go. You know, both Cindy screamed at that part. So it was nice.
And then she falls off the bed and seemingly gets knocked out for a second.
Yep.
You're not sure. So I was terrified for her.
Yeah.
I was like, are they going to kill this little girl right now?
Which would have been crazy.
It would have been crazy. And it would have been crazy to kill her the second time I thought they were actually going to kill her off. But we'll talk about that. Well, it was in front of the TV PlayStation, that scene.
Yep.
But we'll talk about that.
Okay.
And I don't know if you realize that, but as soon as that moment happens, the movie does not let up ever.
That's true.
Every single scene, there's like maybe small little reprieves, little moments of calm, but every scene after that, because she goes to her sister's bedroom.
Yep.
And that's where the tooth scene happens, which was also amazingly well done.
That was creepy. That was good.
Yeah, what'd you think about that scene?
I liked it. No, I thought it was creepy. I knew it was coming though. That was one where, of course, she has the thing there, the string around her tooth. I'm like, well, something's gonna pull this out. Like something's gonna happen. This is coming out, and it. So I figured the monster was gonna do something like that, like pull the door shut. So, but I liked it. I mean, it was effective.
I didn't.
Scene.
I did not think that. Yeah, I thought this was a tooth pulling scene, which is cringy enough as it is.
Right. Yeah.
And then the door shuts on its own. I was like, oh my God.
Right.
Oof. And then when they're laying in the bed, oh my God, the sounds of the monster, like learning how to copy her voice.
Yes, dude. Yes. That's creepy. Well, even in the very first scene with the little baby, like you hear it kind of does the like, and then becomes like the mom's, I think it was the mom's voice, maybe. I'm trying to remember. Or no, it was the dad. It was
a dad's voice. Yeah.
It was Lester's voice. Yeah, that was creepy. It was really well done how they did that transition from groans, icky sounds to like this human voice. Yes. I liked it. I thought that was very effective. I liked that.
And going back to that first scene, you know what sold that scene was that baby, that kid.
For real, dude. Yeah.
What an actor.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, that baby was terrified of this voice.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where the baby has like a calm face and then the voice speaks to it. And the baby just like, you can see how terrified that little girl was.
Yeah, dude.
So, my heart.
I know. Sweetheart. Oh.
There was the scene. So yeah, we had the tooth pulling scene. And of course, everything up to a certain point of this movie was just so perfect. Every little bit. The tooth being pulled into the door.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yes.
Which the next day, I guess Sadie has the dream. Oh, come on. The psychiatrist scene with the red light.
Dude, the red light. Yeah.
Which the whole time I'm sitting there going, does this really work? Because that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I feel like that would traumatize me worse.
Wait, okay, real quick, side story. It was either that night or the night after we watched this.
Mm-hmm.
Enzo was whining in the middle of the night, and so Cindy went in to kind of take care of him, and we have a little sound machine there that has a light on it, and Cindy hit some button and it turns red.
Oh no.
Like, she's like, of course that happened, like right after that. It's like, oh.
Okay, continuing this side note, honestly, how did you feel about leaving Enzo in his bedroom alone after you saw the movie?
I was okay, to be honest.
Okay.
Like,
It was just a
this
movie?
one didn't. Yeah, again, this wasn't one where I was like, Enzo. No, I was like, yeah, it's all right. It'll be all right.
So we have the scene where Sadie wakes up coughing, and real quick, let's just say Sophie Thatcher was incredible.
You and I know her.
Yes, she's from Yellow Jackets.
Mm-hmm. And
even
Mandalorian.
Wait, she was
in
in
Book of
Mandalorian?
Boba Fett. She was in Book of Boba Fett.
No.
Sorry.
She was?
Yeah, no, and then the other one was also in.
Wait, what was she in Book of Boba Fett? Was she one of the kids? With
like the fake or
Oh,
like
God.
the robot.
No wonder
body
I forgot
parts.
them.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, both.
Vivien Lyra Blair
Mhm.
was young Princess Leia.
Right? Yeah,
Did you see Obi-Wan?
I did. Yeah, I knew her right away.
She is so cute.
Yeah, she's adorable.
And she's such a great little actress.
I know. She reminds me of like, maybe I'm not thinking oh my gosh. I don't know if you ever saw, not the Room,
Mhm.
but Room.
Yeah.
I can't think. The young boy in that, he's like a young but really good actor. It's just like, it's crazy that we get these amazing actors and actresses at like 6 years old. I'm like, it's bonkers to me that they're that good.
Jacob Tremblay.
Yes. Gosh.
There's another movie that I think we're going to eventually do on this podcast that features him in it. And that's all I'm going to say. He's really good in it, though. But then obviously we have Chris Messina, who I love no matter what he's in.
Oh,
he played
me too.
Dr. Harper.
I love him dearly. He needs to be in everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I forget what I even saw him in first, but obviously he played Victor Saz in Birds of Prey.
Yes. He's really good in a movie called I'm Here to Help, or We're Here to Help. It was on Netflix. He's really, really good in it. Plays a sleazy lawyer. Oh, he's good.
And I know you probably didn't care for those scenes from what it sounded like, but I did think Marin Ireland was great as Rita Billings. She did a great job.
Yeah, I agree. No, I totally agree with that. I thought the acting by everyone in this was fantastic. I didn't have no qualms, if you will.
No quibbles.
No quibbles. No.
So Sadie wakes up coughing after having that quick dream.
Yeah.
And man, you kind of don't think anything of it until later when the payoff happens that she pulls the tooth out of her esophagus.
Oh, it's still tied to the floss. It was horrible. Oh, it's so gross.
But yeah, there's the whole night where I think it's the second night after the first encounter where Sadie, I think, is down in the basement or she's doing something. Is it the night that she moves the boxes and she's going through the boxes, her mom's boxes, and then Sawyer's under the sheets with the moon?
Yes.
And quote unquote Sadie sits on the bed and says something to her, but then when Sawyer takes the covers off, there's no Sadie. Oh my God. And then there's a knock at her bedroom door.
Yeah.
That whole sequence following that was terrifying.
In the hallway, rolling the ball again.
Yes. Seeing the eyes, the glowing, and in the kitchen with the creature in the corner.
Yes. Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That scene, that was it was just so well crafted.
Yeah.
And I also love how Sawyer eventually finds Sadie and then kicks her like really hard.
It's like, stop messing with me.
So cute. Okay, so here let's start to get to the part where the movie kind of goes off the rails a bit.
Mhm.
to the stuff that probably bothers you more than it bothers me. But before we really get off the rails, I have a love-hate for this scene because there's the friends coming over to the house,
Yeah.
and Sawyer is in the living room playing PlayStation because her dad says, "Yeah, you can play PlayStation tonight if you're good, whatever." Now, this was the first part of the movie that I was like, I don't think that's really realistic.
Mhm.
The fact that if Sawyer knows that there is a creature haunting her, do you think she's going to sit in the complete dark?
No.
No, she would
No.
have the lights on.
No, totally true. Yeah.
I know I would.
Yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, dude.
If something was in the dark, and like even if part of me knew there was nothing in the dark, I would turn on the lights.
Right, exactly.
That's terrifying.
And she knew at that point that light affected the creature.
Kind
Did
of.
she?
Not so much.
Okay, I couldn't, because I know the hallway scene I couldn't remember.
She didn't really know that light affected the creature. I don't feel like she really learned that until after the hospital, because then she puts on the Christmas lights and
That's
she's like,
true.
it doesn't like light.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but I want to say that even though I didn't think that was very realistic,
Mhm.
it turned into a hell of a scene.
Yeah.
First of all, she's playing a game that I actually played this year and beat.
Really?
Called The Pathless. And as a video gamer, I just wanted to say that I completely love the fact that she's not just playing a random game. She's playing a game that they actually use the mechanics of the game for suspenseful effect. The way that she would shoot the arrows in the game to light up the room briefly.
Right. Yes.
I love that so much. Also, it's a very beautiful game. If you ever have a chance to play it, please do so.
Yeah, good to know.
It's not a very long game. Everybody out there, go play The Pathless. It's like 4 hours or less.
Oh,
And
wow.
It's a beautiful game. Just a beautiful game about nature and taking care of nature and blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
But yeah, that was great. But then, okay, I didn't mind the first time that Sadie goes to the Billings house. I actually liked that scene. The first time she meets Rita.
Yep, I did too.
Although it does push reality a little bit that Rita shot a shotgun right over Sadie's shoulder and it didn't like deafen Sadie for good.
Right. Yeah, I thought that. I did think that when I was watching it too. Like, well, she can't hear now.
But it was a good effective jump scare.
It was, yeah. And I liked that moment as well because again, some of those movies where you meet the person that has met this creature before, like our new ally or whatever, they just meet and nothing happens until like their second meeting in other movies. But this one, I liked that the creature was there. I liked that it was right behind her. I liked how it was shot. So I really liked that scene. I thought that was really well done.
So saying that, you also have to appreciate a little bit that Rita wasn't strictly an ally.
That's totally true. You're right.
She did help in the way that she showed that the creature could be injured.
Right.
But when Sadie goes back, Rita freaking ties her up and uses her as bait.
Yeah. I guess she's more just on a spree of vengeance than an ally. Yeah. That's true.
I also liked the part where she calls her dad after she gets out of the Billings house. Okay, wait, before that, let me just say, I watched this movie twice.
Yeah.
And in neither showing did I realize that the creature literally ripped Rita's body in half.
Yeah, dude, I caught that. I was like, holy crap.
I must be blind because I didn't catch it until I watched the behind the scenes and there's a quick shot of that. And I was like, wait a second. And I had to replay it. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Ripped her in half. Yeah, dude. I caught that.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. It's a rough way to go.
So then, but yeah, Sadie gets out of the house and she calls her, or her dad calls her and she answers the phone this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole scene with her dad opening the door.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could tell that this movie was largely written by the guys that wrote A Quiet Place 1 and 2. Did you realize that?
I did not.
Yeah. The two writers, Their names, I have them right here. Scott Beck and Brian Woods. They wrote A Quiet Place 1 and 2 together. They wrote 65, the dinosaur movie. And they also wrote Haunt, one of my favorites.
I love
So,
Haunt.
yeah, they wrote it. And then Mark Heyman came in later to help with some of the character screenwriting.
Okay.
And he wrote Black Swan,
Oh, interesting.
Darren
Okay.
Aronofsky's movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, honestly, I didn't really think about it until you and I started talking, which is great. But like the whole scene with Sawyer lying on the couch with the creature going around the
Totally.
couch is very
my
A Quiet
gosh.
Place-ish.
Absolutely, it is. Oh,
The
man.
part where the dad's standing in the doorway and you see that Sawyer sees something,
Yes.
and then you just see them pulled into the doorway and the door close.
Which I did like that shot. I was like, it took me a second. I was like, was that cheesy or cool? And I was like, no, I liked it.
Yeah.
Because I just like him. It was kind of a fun shot where you see the phone fling out and he gets sucked into the house. Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked that. I thought it was cool. It was effective. I liked it.
And then you have the whole cat and mouse rest of the
Mhm.
movie, which,
Right.
again, like you said, it is predictable.
Right.
I mean, when Sawyer follows Sadie wrapped in the lights, you know that something's going to happen. Like the lights are going to be shut off.
Yeah.
Whether they become unplugged or what have you, they're going to be
Mhm.
left in the dark at some point.
Yeah.
You know that the lighter is
Yes,
going
yeah.
to not work, and then it's going to work at the last precise moment.
Yeah.
All this stuff. But the thing that saves that scene is just also the acting, as we talked about.
Right. I agree.
We also kind of get to see the creature finally. And what did you think of the creature design, my friend?
That is one of my highlights, man. That creature design was awesome, which is funny because you and I have talked about this a zillion times. So when the creature finally shows, sometimes we're taken out of it and go, okay, all right. This was a very effective creature, a frightening creature.
Yes.
The design was awesome. The inside of the creature's like human face, whatever.
And the
it was-
arms coming out.
Yes, dude. Amazing. Like I was like, part of me, this was probably one of the first times where I went, man, I wish kind of now I had seen that creature even more in the movie than not seen it. But it was just because the design was just so cool. I loved it. What do you think?
You can just watch the last 20 minutes over and over again.
True. That's true.
No, I'm glad that they didn't show the creature throughout the movie until
Yeah.
close to the end, because the mystery of the creature, the fact that it thrives in the darkness, that was part of what made the movie terrifying and scary to me.
Right.
Obviously, the last 20 minutes to me are very suspenseful,
Mhm.
but they're not as scary as the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And I've said this before. Cobweb,
Yep.
The Exorcist is one of my big ones.
Yeah. Right on.
Which you still haven't seen, but
Yeah.
keep that in mind. Like, there's a certain point where the movie stops being very scary to me.
Okay.
But it's still
All right.
like this movie. It's still good. Like, I still enjoy
Right.
the
Yeah.
last 20 minutes.
That's fair.
Also, they're walking out of the house. Now, can people really walk through fire like that? I mean, I know they're not walking through the fire, but the fire's like on either side of them, man. I just don't think that's possible.
Right. Yeah, I get that. With a broken leg too. Oh
yeah,
leg
with
was-
oh man, that was gruesome.
that was gross. Yeah.
Yeah, so the second time I thought Sawyer was going to die was when the creature had her and you see her legs dangling and then it throws her into the TV.
Yeah, dude, that was wild. I
was
wasn't
like, wow.
expecting that.
But yeah, I guess they wouldn't do that to Dr. Harper and Sadie as characters, like make them go through yet more grief like that, because that would
Right.
also defeat the purpose of them overcoming grief.
True. That's very true. That's a good point.
Eli Born did the cinematography of this movie.
Mm.
He also did the latest Hellraiser
Oh, cool.
that we saw
Okay.
last year.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
And I want to do a shout out, as I usually do. Patrick Jonsson composed the score to this movie.
Right on.
Man, what this movie had some beautiful moments in the score.
That's fair. Absolutely.
Did you notice it at all? Did you hear the music?
I did. Yeah, with this one. Yeah, more than I usually, not usually, but usually, I'm going to say usually one more time. But a lot of
Please.
times I don't. I just hear the music and it's like, oh, it's fun. But this
A
one,
lot
yeah,
of times,
definitely.
a lot of times, like, do you
Sometimes.
mean usually?
Like usually, yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I thought the music was very beautiful and somber.
Yeah.
It needed to be, but then it was also very tense and
Mhm.
kind of scary when it needed to be.
Yep.
I looked up Patrick Jonsson. He's done a lot of independents and documentaries.
Oh,
But
really?
man, if you look up his music on Apple Music or Spotify,
Mhm.
he's got a few albums that are just absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, cool, man. Okay.
So I am a fan. He's a Swedish composer.
Nice.
Can't wait to hear more stuff from him.
That's awesome, dude. That's really cool.
Did you know? I already talked about one thing, but there's not really that much in the behind the scenes.
Uh-huh.
But one thing I thought was cool, I think it was Chris Messina was talking about Rob Savage and saying how much he was just such a lover of horror.
Mhm.
They said he kept classic horror movies on a loop in his office. So like anytime he have to go into his office, he'd just have horror movies they're playing.
That's
So he was
awesome.
like, he studies horror movies, and
That's amazing. I love that.
I can really forgive him for Dashcam after this movie. Which again, I didn't think the movie was horrible, just the person in it.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, just a few quick notes.
Yeah.
First of all, you watched it on iTunes, Apple TV, right?
I did. Yes.
Contains tobacco depictions.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, Cindy was like, "What?" And I said the same thing. I was like, "That's weird."
On my copy of the movie, for anybody out there, there's just this warning that flashes at the beginning of the movie that says contains tobacco depictions, which is something you usually see on like Disney Plus or something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But on iTunes or Apple TV,
Yeah.
where I bought the movie, that was so weird.
That was really weird. At first I was like, is this part of the movie? Maybe this is like a shout out to something later, and then I kind of forgot until just now, and I'm like, oh no, it was just a weird thing.
The other thing I want to mention, fans of Stephen King, like yours truly.
Oh yeah.
There are a couple of Stephen King references in the movie.
Oh.
Besides just the adaptation of his story.
Right.
The Billings house, the address is 217, which is the name of the haunted room in The Shining, but in the book.
Awesome, dude.
In Kubrick's movie, they changed it to 237, but in Stephen King's book, it's 217.
That's awesome. I love
And then,
it.
of course, the address of the Harper's residence is 19. And that is a very famous Stephen King number that he uses. It's like his favorite number.
Okay.
And it comes back throughout all of his books, but especially in the Dark Tower books. So.
Oh, okay.
But it's the number of Stephen King. So.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So I thought those were some nice references. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I forgot to mention it when we talked about it, but yeah, the part where where Sadie wakes up coughing after that dream, that was actually kind of triggering to me.
Oh, really?
Because I have a thing that happens at night. If I wake up and I've got a tickle in my throat or I'm coughing, I always get paranoid that a spider or something crawled into my mouth and down my throat.
Yeah, buddy.
Always.
Yeah.
It's why I've kept water on my bedstand for many, many years now. Yeah.
Gross, dude. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I'm sure we've swallowed bugs before at night.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you and me, I'm talking about.
Yeah. Don't Google how many, buddy. Trust me.
How many bugs has Andrew swallowed?
19,000.
19.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, Stephen King. You ready for 3 questions?
Let's do this.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
Okay. This is your movie. Question number 1.
Yeah, man.
What did you think was the best or most effective kill or death in the Boogeyman?
Well, I'm going with Rita. because I did catch it the first time, and I was like, "Holy macaroni! That creature is stronger than I thought." Yeah,
Well, I mean, there's only two characters that really die in the movie,
Right.
and I'm
Yeah.
not going to pick that little girl at the
No.
beginning. So yes.
Well, Lester would be the other one.
Oh yeah, Lester.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
one actually.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I think I am going to go with Lester. I was
That's
fair.
fair.
Ready to say Rita, but
Mhm.
Lester's death is terrifying because first he's standing in the hallway
Yeah.
with Sadie listening to music and she doesn't see him, and then she hears noises from that closet when she goes into that room.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a perfectly well-crafted suspenseful scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And the like that moment too where the dad sees him, like he runs in and sees the body, and then she looks and I love how he immediately covers her eyes. Like I was like, that's such a protective moment. I really like that.
Especially after their mom just died. So
exactly. Yeah. It was just
but it's also perfect tension in that she hears the noises from that closet.
Mm-hmm.
And she opens the door and goes inside and there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
And you kind of, as the audience, you kind of think as well that, oh, nothing's in there. The dad comes along. It's safe now. But no, it's not safe. There's Lester hanging from the door.
Right. Yeah, dude.
So yeah, I think I'm going to go with that one.
That's totally fair. Oof.
Interesting question. Number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think the Boogeyman was scary at all?
I actually didn't. I mean, there was definitely moments where I jumped, and there was definitely some really creepy, like we talked about, there's just some great atmosphere in this movie. But overall, I didn't lose sleep, and I haven't, and I was not super scared. You?
Yes, I did. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if I'll ever lose sleep over a movie again.
That's
the
fair.
way I did the first time I saw Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity. And the very first Nightmare on Elm Street back when I was 11 years old.
Oh, man. Yeah, dude.
But that said, while I was watching this movie, I was terrified.
Nice. All right.
And I was vocal during the movie. I didn't scream, you know, but I was vocal.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought this movie was very scary. And I thought the last 20, 30 minutes were very suspenseful. I wouldn't say they were scary. I would say they're suspenseful with some scary imagery.
Yeah, totally. Yep. I would agree with that.
Well, number 3.
Yeah.
Did you have fun with horror or did you not?
You know, I will say overall, yeah, I did have fun with horror. The pros outweigh the cons, but that big con did, you know, it definitely didn't make it a perfect movie for me. You know.
Would you ever watch this with Kylie?
She's actually seen it. She's seen it before me. Yeah, she went and saw it with her dad. I know. So yeah.
Let's just take everybody back to the beginning of our podcast, the first few episodes, when one of our big conversations was,
yeah, dude,
what movie do we introduce Kylie to horror first? Because she's interested in horror movies. And this was 2 years ago. And now she's watching all of these movies before you ever have a chance to.
I know. She's like she's a horror fan. I mean,
did she like this movie?
She thought it was okay. Like when I asked her, she was like, yeah, it was okay. It didn't scare her. Like what's crazy about her, especially at like, I mean, she's still young. She's 13, but like things just don't scare her. And I'm like, that's wild because I know we're not necessarily blood related, but still, like, I mean, when I was 13, when I was like 14, 15, things scared the crap out of me in movies. So I'm just like, wow, man, like she's tough.
We'll have to talk to her sometime. There's got to be something that scares her.
Oh, I'm sure there is, but I also am curious if she would say what it is.
Okay.
I don't know if she would.
Well, then we won't say it on the air to protect her privacy.
Well, right. Yeah, we definitely. But I'm curious. I am curious what she would say.
But yes, I also have fun with horror. Watching this movie. As I said at the beginning, at this moment, I think it's my favorite horror movie of the year.
That's awesome, man. Because
it's been a very long time since a movie actually scared me. And this movie scared the crap out of me.
I love that. That's fantastic, dude.
I think I'm really happy right now because we've watched a couple of movies And obviously, I think Cobweb kind of follows kind of the same structure as this movie,
Right.
And it didn't bother me that much that they kind
Mhm.
of followed a similar structure, even though they're slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
But both movies are very, very tense and really had me creeped out in the dark. And I'm loving this.
That's awesome.
So let's see if we can keep it going with my pick for next week.
You want to hang up your jacket? I make you more comfortable.
Can you shut it?
Excuse me?
The door.
All right, buddy. I am very curious about what you're picking next. There's a lot of interesting movies out right now, and there's a lot of I'll just leave it at that. I'm excited to hear what you're gonna pick. So without further ado, man, tell the people what we want to know. What are we watching next?
Andrew, just for a second, though, I'd just really like you to talk to me.
Is there a movie called Talk to Me?
Yes. That is our next movie, buddy. Talk to me.
Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me.
Talk to me,
What?
Scotty. It is
I
the
know
movie
this.
with the hand.
Oh gosh, I have heard some crazy things about this movie, buddy.
I heard it's scary. That's all
Me
I've heard.
too. That's it too. Sorry, yeah.
No,
Oh,
I
man.
actually Mary was able to get an invite to see it at Comic-Con, a preview
cool.
screening, but because I didn't get the invite as well, she skipped out. And then it turns out that preview screening was craptastic, with a lot of people showing up and not being able to get in.
Oh man.
Yeah, like they really screwed the pooch on it. But on the plus side, people have been talking really good things about this movie.
A lot. That's what I've kept saying as well.
At the moment, it's not streaming for free anywhere. It's just available for purchase on digital, Apple, Amazon. But yeah, that's it. Talk to me. Let's see.
I'm excited.
Me too. It was directed by Danny Philippou and Michael Philippou.
Oh, right on.
Or Philippou. Written by Danny Philippou, Bill Hinsman, and Daley Pearson.
Okay.
And it stars Ari McCarthy, Hamish Phillips, Sophie Wilde. Sophie Wilde. Yeah, a lot. Actually, I don't really know these actors, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a movie. Miranda Otto is in it. So she's in it somewhere.
Okay.
She was in The Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
I Am No Man.
Oh, her. Oh, great.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. She's great. Okay. Yes, I knew exact. Eowyn. No.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, Eowyn.
Eowyn.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, very good, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Next week on Fun with Horror, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Dude,
all three movies,
awesome.
The extended.
15 hours worth of movie.
Yeah. In 1 hour, we're going to recap, do 3-minute recaps of those. Come on.
Amazing. It would go well.
It would go very well because we're professionals.
You're darn right.
Even though we record every episode naked, we are professionals.
I know. That's why these are not video. These are not available for everyone because.
Correct. The video is not available.
You'd fall in love.
And not with me. With Andrew.
Stop it. It would only be with you.
Oh, man.
I'm kind of nervous about this movie. I remember not nervous in a bad way, like nervous, like this one I feel like is going to be it's going to be creepy.
I'm nervous because I really hope it just doesn't follow the same formula as other movies that we've been talking about. Because then you'll hate it.
That's fair.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this. And buddy, this is going to be our first episode in October. So
yes.
So Halloween month.
Oh, is that October?
Yes, it is. Yeah, a lot of people are so excited. They talk about like they can't wait till October 31st, and I'm like, no, relax. Like enjoy the time leading up to October 31st because then the next day is depressing because it's over.
Exactly. No, and we talked about this. Like I feel like like August-ish through October is Halloween season. I mean, that's like the time where you start feeling it.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
It's the best, dude. It's the best.
It's the best. All right. Buddy,
All right. Buddy,
I love you.
I love you.
You're my best friend.
You're mine too.
You know who else is my best friend?
Who?
Bowie and Ziggy, my cats.
I love Bowie and Ziggy. Hi, Bowie and Ziggy.
You know who else is my best friend?
Who?
JD and Stanley.
I love JD and Stanley. Hi, JD and Stanley.
You know who else is my best friend?
Who?
Everybody that is still listening to this episode right now. I love you.
I love you too. Hi, everybody that's still listening to this episode right now. I love you.
Thank you for listening.
Yes.
We'll be back next time with our discussion of Talk to Me,
Yes.
episode 102.
Whew.
I'm excited.
Me too.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. I love you.
Everybody knows where they can find us, but the one thing I still want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and I say it at the end because I know people get tired of it, but man, we haven't had a good review on Apple Podcasts since like 2022 sometime.
Dang, man.
We need some reviews, people.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
If you haven't reviewed us on Apple Podcasts, go out there and do it.
Yeah.
It's
We
fun.
believe in you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, please. Please?
It's fun.
With horror?
Goodbye.